I remember it like it was yesterday. We were across the border from where we lived in Canada at the time. We were living in Vancouver, Canada, and across the border in Bellingham, Washington, where my wife and I and our 2 kids would cross and do a day trip and get load up on groceries and other things like that. And I thought I would be efficient. Jenny went into the store without our kids, right? And our kids would stay with me in their car seats, and we would go through and do a car wash. Driving up to the car wash, I saw a sign that said, "Turn your radio off," which I thought, whatever, turn my radio off. Why would I turn my radio off going into this car wash? Well, we had a little Honda station wagon, and the way the design was, the hatchback kind of came like this, that opened up the back, and the antenna would when you turn it on would go up, and when you turn the radio off, it would detract or retract into the down. And I kept it on, and when those big huge things went by, boom, 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 just ripped off the antenna, just ripped it right off. It was, and I actually had to break it off because it was hanging. It was kind of a danger to other cars. That's why I was supposed to turn the radio off. But I realized that my instinct was, after I, thought, okay, we'll just get it fixed, because we have young kids and all this sort of stuff in the car and on a radio, and you like to crank the music up and sing. You do it too, and I do that. I like doing those things and listening to the different things on the radio and news and things in the car while I'm in the car. But I felt an invitation by God to not fix that, to not get that fixed. Actually, to allow that space with the void of the radio, the noise that fills that space sometimes, to have it be filled with silence and conversation with either God or with my kids and everybody else in the car. And so for years, literally like 4 years, we didn't fix that. We actually never really fixed it on that car. And I know as I would drive in that car, the turn off the radio was probably more of a prophetic statement than I realized, because those are the spaces that I would, in the midst of a very busy life or filled life with family and kids and occupations and all those things, the invitation in the in-between spaces for silence did something to contribute to my inner stillness with God. One of the greatest litmus tests for me in my own soul is if I have the capacity to sit still. And when I do sit still, close my eyes and even rest attentively, openly, listening to God without striving or acting or moving, stillness begins to be created within me, and silence begins to add to that. The silence that around me begins to help contribute to an inner stillness that's in me throughout the whole day, in the midst of stuff going on. And the question was, am I still praying? Still praying, meaning that I'm not actively moving, but the opposite of that, still, being still and settled. And still praying, actually, it helped build the capacity to keep praying through the day. When things are around, that doesn't mean that I need to engage with them or my soul needs to be swept up into the things of an intense manner, but that I actually am able to have an inner stillness and silence even as I'm in the midst of busy and moving and doing things. Psalm 46 speaks to this. Psalm 46 has a background of fear that might be surrounding, maybe like besieging a city or something like that, and the fear that's surrounding them. But it could have application almost anywhere. Anything that pulls our souls away from a stillness or a place that's still with God. Still with God. Not striving with activity, and actually continuing to be with God. Being still with God. That's what this speaks to. Psalm 46 says this: God is our refuge and our ever and strength, and ever-present help in times of trouble. Therefore I will not fear, though the earth give way, and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, and mountains quake with their surging. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at the break of day. Nations are in an uproar. Kingdoms fall. He lifts his voice. The earth melts. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Come and see the works of the Lord, the desolations he has brought on the earth. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear and burns the shields with fire, these objects of war. He brings about peace. Then, verse 10, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in all the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. My invitation is this, that use this space in the car, wherever you are, perhaps for silence in between here and wherever you're going. Ask God if God wants to use that space for that. Maybe it's Christian music, or what music, I don't know. But for me, in that time, it built silence. And I wonder if you would ask God in prayer where those pockets of silence might be through the day for you, so that your inner stillness and being still and knowing that God is God could be built up through the day, could be trained and learned. Does that make sense? So where might those pockets of space be where God's inviting you already into quiet spaces for external stillness and silence that would build up your internal capacity in the midst of storms and everything else to have an inner stillness? And where might be the places, as I read this, that God might be bringing up? There is things surging around me and things, and to identify those and offer those to God. Nothing helps identify those things more for me than quiet stillness. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is, you can have Psalm 46 in front of you, but this is a prayer prompt. What I would like you to do is this: set a timer on your phone. I just did this actually before this exercise. And set a timer on your phone from 3 to 5 minutes. 5 minutes would be great. Or more. You can do more. I like more sometimes. And just let that timer go. And then in that time, don't strive. Just be with God. You don't have to talk to God about anything specifically. Just be with God. Let those things that are most pressing be brought up. And if they do, just offer them to God. You don't have to use words. And just rest. Still. And let God, the external stillness and silence, help you have a greater capacity for the silence and stillness that happens within us when we know, in whatever circumstance, that God is with us. And we only know that, I believe, in some ways, through that still silence that we practice. We'll see you tomorrow.